coffee. Nothing.
Good morning. Good morning. Got my coffee. I got my big ceramic cup out for this one. Need to get something different. This is more for soup, but I didn't want to use up a styrofoam cup. Styrofoam's bad for you anyways. Alright, so you guys know what this is, right? CB radio. I've talked about this before. And if you want to see a younger, more innocent version of me with less beard, I'll leave a link in the description of the other CB radio video I've done. But I wanted to touch on the CB radio thing because, you know, with all these pileups this past winter, especially the one in Fort Worth, it's becoming more and more apparent. Now, this isn't your typical, you should have used the CB radio video. I'm not doing that, okay? However, what I am going to say is we did it to ourselves. When I talk to people who have been out here a minute, what do they all say? They say, oh, I don't run with my CB radio on. You know, and it baffled me. You know, like when I first started, my trainer, it was kind of funny. My trainer, the guy that trained me, he had a big radio. He had a General Lee and you know, got it peaked and tuned, and you know, could reach out to God with the radio. You know, he was just, you know, it was a big radio. Never had it on. Now, as a kid, I have really good memories of riding with my dad in the truck, listening to him talk on the CB and listen to all the drivers talk to each other on the CB. And very rarely was there any nastiness that I remember. And, you know, of course, you know, things were different back then. He didn't have, I don't know, seemed like people weren't as angry. But, you know, I asked my trainer, I said, why do you not have the radio on? He's like, because I'm tired of hearing all the trash. I'm tired of hearing all the negativity. I don't want to be criticized for how I'm driving. I don't want to be criticized or made fun of for the color of my truck. I don't want to be criticized for, you know, it's just, you know, you got people on there that make noise, and, you know, you got people on there trying to sell illegal things, you know. It's just, you know, anybody who's been through Memphis, you know what I'm talking about. And it kind of bummed me out because I like having the CB radio on. And so when you talk to these old guys, they all say the same thing. You know, the CB radio's nasty. I used to run with it on, but it's just trash anymore. There's no one on it anymore, you know. And I remember one day I was at the Pilot in Pacific, Missouri. You guys know that Pilot. You know, it's a very unique platform there, you know, not platform, layout. It's kind of on a platform, you know. But I remember this Swift driver was backing into a spot, and he got out like 58 times. He got out and looked, you know, because it was kind of a not the greatest spot to be backing. And somebody got on the CB radio like, Swift, well, how many times you gotta get out of the truck? You know, and a couple of drivers stood up for him. They're like, oh, you know, what would you rather have him do? You know, get on the, you know, not get out and look and hit your truck? You know, damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of deal, right? But that's what I'm talking about. So when you hear about these pileups and how CB radios could have possibly prevented these pileups, well, guess what? No one runs with the CB anymore because people are nasty to each other. You truck drivers all treat each other like crap. You did this to yourselves. I like having my radio on. I have my radio on whether I'm going downtown or down the street or, 800 miles away. I've always got this on when the truck's running. And there are some customers that I go to that still require the CB because they don't want to call you on their cell phone. And I like having the CB radio on still. And there's only like one area of the country where I actually do turn it off because it's pointless, and that was New Jersey. Yes, I've been to New Jersey. But we did this to ourselves. So when a new guy comes into, let's say you're fresh out of CDL school and you go to Schneider, right? You go to Schneider, and Schneider preaches no outside distracting devices, and they include the CB on that list. They include that. And so these guys aren't taught by their trainers to use the CB radio. Why? Because a lot of the trainers are old hands that know that because of the name that's on the side of your truck, or because of how you look, people are going to be nasty to you on the CB radio. So why have it on? Why let that be a distraction? And over time, the CB radio had become a pretty, I don't know, it was kind of frustrating to have on sometimes. Now, with that being said, because a lot of people have left the CB radio platform, it's actually a little bit more pleasant now. There's not as much noise, there's not as much negativity as there used to be. But for the most part, we did this to ourselves. So when you gripe about the new guys who don't run with CBs, number one, they weren't taught that way because the people that could have taught them that way did not have positive experiences with that CB radio. So now you can argue, well, when you're going through a snowstorm, you gotta, fight through that nastiness and ugliness to humans and have it on in an emergency situation. Well, if it's not ingrained in your head that that's what you use it for, then people aren't going to turn it on. It's only a miracle that these truck manufacturers still allow a spot for the CB radio. When that disappears, then it's done, right? So the next time you gripe about these new guys not having CB radios on, think about what led us to this spot. I can't tell you how many times, we're going down the road, there's an accident, somebody asks, hey, what's going on up here? And somebody's like, well, if you would have had your radio on, you would know what's going on. Or they might go, hey, what's going on up here? And no one answers. And then they go, well, typical, no one's running with their CB radio, so I guess I'll just find, it's like, shut up. Shut up. If we can at least be a little bit good to each other and make the CB radio a pleasant social media platform, maybe we could bring the radio back. But as long as truck drivers are nasty to each other, yell at each other, make fun of each other, and want to point out your flaws in your character and everything else in your driving, on the CB radio, then it's just going to get worse and worse, and to the point that 5 years from now, you'll be lucky to find somebody that even knows what a CB radio is. That's that. So we did this to ourselves, plain and simple. So if you like this video, hit the thumbs up. If you don't like it, hit the thumbs down twice. If you've made it this far, I appreciate every single one of you. And you know what? Be good to each other, people. I hope you enjoy your morning coffee. Peace.